everyone. I'm Giselle Fernandez, and I'm so glad you found us. The JVS SoCal Women's Leadership Network's virtual conference will begin shortly, so please don't go anywhere. We have an amazing program for you. Get ready to be inspired. Thank you, JVS SoCal and the Women's Leadership Network, for the great work that you do empowering women to lift themselves out of poverty and into rewarding new careers. You guys rock. I support JVS SoCal because of its commitment to inclusivity, ensuring diverse and multicultural communities have access to resources necessary to secure sustainable employment. Giselle Fernandez, and I'm so glad you found us. The JVS SoCal Women's Leadership Network's virtual conference will begin shortly, so please don't go anywhere. We have an amazing program for you. Get ready to be inspired. Thank you, JVS SoCal and the Women's Leadership Network, for the great work that you do empowering women to lift themselves out of poverty and into rewarding new careers. You guys rock. I support JVS SoCal because of its commitment to inclusivity, ensuring diverse and multicultural communities have access to resources necessary to secure sustainable employment. I'm Giselle Fernandez, and I'm so glad you found us. The JVS SoCal Women's Leadership Network's virtual conference will begin shortly, so please don't go anywhere. We have an amazing program for you. Get ready to be inspired. Thank you, JVS SoCal and the Women's Leadership Network, for the great work that you do empowering women to lift themselves out of poverty and into rewarding new careers. You guys rock. I support JVS SoCal because of its commitment to inclusivity, ensuring diverse and multicultural communities have access to resources necessary to secure sustainable employment.
Welcome to the 9th Annual JVS SoCal Women's Leadership Network Conference. And now, please welcome your host, Emmy Award-winning journalist and anchor for Spectrum News 1, Giselle Fernandez.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning for the 2021 Woman to Woman Conference. We have an amazing program of speakers who will challenge and inspire you, and we are so happy that you are joining us. Our conference is presented by JVS SoCal Women's Leadership Network, or WLN, a philanthropic membership group dedicated to serving women in career crisis or transition, including women who are launching their careers. The WLN empowers women to achieve dignity and economic independence through sustainable employment, so important. This philanthropic organization works to sustain, expand, and enhance JVS SoCal's comprehensive array of programs that positively impact the future of women and families of diverse backgrounds throughout Los Angeles and Southern California. This morning's conference would not have been possible without our incredibly generous sponsors, with very special recognition to our presenting sponsors, Terry and Jerry Cole and Susan W. Robertson of blessed memory. Terry and Jerry have been longtime WLN supporters who have helped us grow so much over the years, including their instrumental gift that enabled us to launch our newest program for women, Creating Career Connections. Sue Robertson, former JVS board chair, proud WLN member, and early supporter of JVS SoCal's WOA mentoring program, passed away last year after a difficult battle with cancer. Her family, including her husband Carl, her daughter Cara, her son Chip, and his wife Carrie, and their 3 kids, Lou, Lila, and Rose, are continuing her important legacy. Her legacy of leadership, strength, and generosity lives on today through the women we serve. We're so grateful to Sue and her entire family, especially her son Chip, who serves on JVS SoCal's board and continues the meaningful work that she started many years ago. And a special thank you to CIT Bank for your partnership and support as an empowerment sponsor. We are also grateful to our encouragement sponsors, Susan and Fred Kunick, Don Levin Trust, Debbie and Rick Powell, and Wells Fargo. Women are the next generation of leaders, but we need more voice. We represent trillions in buying power, but are often excluded, underrepresented in the C-suite. Change begins from the ground up, and by empowering women to find their calling and lean into their careers. The programs of JVS SoCal that WLN supports are helping drive that change. Today's program is titled Know We Can. And given the opportunity and working together, all women know we can make a difference. Sometimes that opportunity means job training, sometimes it is job placement, and sometimes it's just working with a mentor for invaluable guidance and support. And sometimes it is just having the financial breathing room to dream of something bigger. The programs and impact grants of JVS SoCal and the Women's Leadership Network empower women in so many ways, and by supporting the WLN, you are a vital part of that change for good. Our theme today is the inflection point, that moment in your life's journey when everything changes. How you respond to that inflection point, the choices you make at that very moment, can propel you forward to achieve success, to realize happiness, and can change the world. Our 3 powerful speakers, Joy Chen, Georgia Berkovich, and Asia Brown, have each faced their own different inflection points, and we will hear how their life trajectories changed as a result. Their uncommon stories all have common threads, bound by a fierce determination to recognize and rebuild the dismissed and disregarded in our society. And our wonderful honoree, Diane Shader-Smith, faced her most personal moment of change by channeling it to a new purpose and her new life's work. They are all revolutionaries. They are all making our world a better place, and they are all women. And now it is my pleasure to introduce this year's conference co-chairs, Linda Brown and Leslie Spivak.
Thank you, Giselle. We are so lucky to have had you as our host this year. And congratulations on the 5 Los Angeles Press Club Awards that you and your team at LA Stories and Spectrum News 1 recently received. I am so proud to be a part of the Women's Leadership Network and to have served with Leslie as co-chairs for this year's Woman to Woman Conference. So many of the clients that JVS serves are women, and I was inspired to join WLN several years ago as a way to help these women. Women looking to advance their careers, women wanting to transition to a new career, or women in career crisis struggling to break through the cycle of poverty. In addition to the many JVS programs WLN supports to achieve these goals, one of the most powerful is the Impact Grants program. This program was created to aid our clients with small financial needs, and my time with the WLN has been highlighted by serving on our Impact Grants Committee. These grants help women pay for classes or training to transition careers, to reimburse them for necessary credential courses, to cover required school supplies and computers, and sometimes even the basics like transportation costs. These grants may be small, but the ripple effects are life-changing, enabling women to move forward, provide for themselves and their families, and follow their career passion. And yes, they can provide the inflection point for a true change in a woman's life. The money that we raise today will continue to fund our impact grants, and we truly appreciate your support. Later in the program, you will meet two JVS WLN clients for whom impact grants made all the difference. Watching so many women gain confidence and achieve career success through these impact grants has been and continues to be hugely rewarding for me personally. Leslie?
Thank you, Linda. It's been a pleasure to co-chair this incredible event with you. So many of us get introduced to Women's Leadership Network through our friends, women who sense that the WLN mission will speak to us too. For me, those friends were Debbie Powell and Barbara Leantz. After attending several conferences and sponsoring the event, I was asked if I'd like to get more involved, and so I joined the Executive Council. As a WLN Council member, I have learned a lot about JVS SoCal. I visited the WorkSource Center in Culver City and met the staff members who provide personalized career counseling and LinkedIn and Excel workshops, or who refer clients to one of the JVS SoCal's career training programs. These life-changing programs offer free training, job placement in healthcare, banking, and property maintenance. People of all ages and backgrounds come to JVS SoCal for help in starting a new chapter in their lives. While JVS SoCal serves 50,000 people each year, it only takes one woman to inspire you. Kashiva Flores was the young woman for me. I met Kashiva at a WLN membership event in December of 2019. After donating professional clothing for a group of clients, we had a wonderful time helping each woman pick out outfits and accessories for their job interviews. Kashiva was a bright young woman enrolled in JVS SoCal's youth program who had experienced homelessness throughout her childhood as her father struggled with substance abuse. After her older sister found JVS SoCal, all of her siblings received skills, training, and job placement services that allowed them to build new lives and find meaningful work. Without the WLN, I never would have had a chance to meet this remarkable young woman. Kashiva is just one of the hundreds of women we help every year, and I'm so honored to be part of that lasting impact.
And now I would like to introduce our first featured speaker, Joy Chen. Joy is a world-renowned leadership coach whom the Wall Street Journal calls a lean-in guru, and the Los Angeles Times refers to simply as the networker. She formerly served as a deputy mayor of Los Angeles and as a Fortune 500 executive search consultant. Her firm, Joyous, provides leadership development for Asian Americans. Here's a little more about Joy's story.
I grew up in the United States, but to a very traditional Chinese family. And I got married at the very old age of 38, or at least it's considered very old in China. From the time I graduated from college at 21 to 38, every week my mom would be calling me and saying, "Do you have a boyfriend yet? When are you going to get married?" You know, getting very nervous. At one point I was a deputy mayor in Los Angeles. She'd still be calling and say, "Why are you being a deputy mayor? What man's going to want you now?" I said, "Well, Mom, I'm trying to help millions of people, you know, have a better life and contribute more to the economy." And she'd say, "But don't you know a woman's most important role is to be a wife and mother?"
After working as an LA deputy mayor and a Fortune 500 executive search consultant, Joy became a successful author and speaker. Joy now works as a career coach, helping Asian Americans, and in particular, Asian American women, to break through cultural stereotypes and reach their full potential.
When I talk to my friends, one thing that I hear probably more than anything else is, you know, I have so much pressure in my life. Young women often say their parents do not allow them to date through high school, not want them to date through college, but the second they graduate from college, they want them to be married. There's been a tradition in, let's say, Western Europe of individual rights, protest for maybe 500 years. In China, there never has been that. There's still been this sort of unifying culture of the women's role. These women are some of the most educated people in the world right now. And yet, all of their cultural inculcation has been to look at themselves as wives and mothers. They look at me and they say, "Wow, society wants me to go in this direction." But just by having her out there as a data point, I just felt like the possibilities ahead of me just expanded. It makes them just kind of sigh in relief, feeling like,
Joy's focus on expanding opportunity aligns with JVS SoCal's critical mission. While Joy was Los Angeles Deputy Mayor for Special Projects, she facilitated the transfer of the WorkSource Career Planning Center contract from the city to JVS SoCal. This doubled the operational budgets for JVS at the time, so in many ways it was an important inflection point for the organization and greatly expanded JVS SoCal's services in Southern California. Joy's vision of inclusive leadership continues to inspire her work today. And now please welcome Joy.
Hi, my name is Joy Chen. It all started when I was a kid. I grew up in Maryland. My parents had saved and sacrificed to buy a house in a good school district, which meant that we were the oddball Chinese in a school that was almost all white. One evening, when I was about 13, my dad and I were sitting at home when he said, "Tonight's the night of my department's Christmas party." Surprised, I asked why he didn't go. He said, "Because when I go to those things, I never know what to say to people." It was like a lightning bolt had crashed down on my head. I realized two things. One, my old man and I had the same problem. We didn't know how to talk to white people. Two, I realized that this problem would forever limit his career and his life. It didn't matter that he was born in Nanchang in China and had made it all the way to MIT, where he had a master's in engineering. My mom, Shanghai-born, Cornell biochemist. 30-year career, never managed a soul. Me, I didn't just want to go to an Ivy League school and become a worker bee. I wanted to be someone, change the world. So that night, I resolved to figure out how mainstream American society actually works so that I could get in there and make a difference, somehow. That was my inflection point. Now, I wasn't sure that I could actually make a difference because at school, I was so awkward. After college at Duke, I wanted to try living in a place with more Asians. So, with no money and no connections, I moved to Los Angeles. In the early years, I struggled to stay afloat money-wise. After a few years, I got a job at my dream company, McGuire Thomas Partners. At the time, America's most powerful, best financed, most glamorous real estate development firm. That was the good news. The bad news was I was a lowly assistant who desperately wanted to become a developer. So, to boost my credibility, I went back to earn not one, but 2 graduate degrees in real estate, an MBA in real estate finance and a master's in urban planning, while I was working full-time. I barely slept. Then, luck entered my life in the form of a woman named Maureen Kindle, who was and is one of LA's ultimate insiders. At the time, her Saturday night poker parties were legendary among California's business and political elite, but her assistant hated all the busy work. So I jumped in, mailing out invitations, setting up chairs, pouring wine, picking up cocktail napkins. Working the parties gave me permission to be in the room, to see firsthand how powerful people interact with one another. Maureen generously introduced me around as her talented young friend. It took me another 15 years to pay off all that graduate student debt, but in the end, it turned out Maureen's mentorship was even more valuable, because what I lacked in my toolkit was not more technical skills, but instead an understanding of the unwritten rules of the game and the savvy and the network to get to the top. Within 6 years, I was appointed a deputy mayor of Los Angeles. That's when I first got to partner with JVS on the important work of expanding access to opportunity to everyone. After my term in office ended, I was headhunted to become an executive search consultant for Fortune 500 companies across North America, Europe, and Asia. I interviewed 4,000 of the world's top leaders, and I learned from every one of them. So I started a careers blog in Chinese and English to teach other Chinese how to overcome our exclusion and lead. That's when a publisher in China asked me to write a book for women there. My books, Do Not Marry Before Age 30 and How to Get Lucky in Your Career, became bestsellers, launching me as a celebrity executive coach and career guru for women in China. Now, I'm the executive coach the Wall Street Journal calls a lean-in guru, and the Los Angeles Times refers to simply as the networker. And 3 decades after Maureen began mentoring me, she remains one of my very closest friends. August of this year, amidst the still surging anti-Asian hate, I closed a decade's worth of work in China, and I returned home to the States to launch a leadership development firm for Asian Americans. In fact, all the hate is just the most visible part of the exclusion of Asians in American society. Asians now are America's most educated group and the least likely to get promoted. We're 12% of the workforce, but only 1.5% of Fortune 500 corporate officers. My company, Joyous, is here to expand access for Asian Americans to all levels of American business and society. What does leadership mean to me? Well, to me, leadership means creating a world without insiders and outsiders, a world of true inclusion. By true inclusion, I mean 2 things: full belongingness and full uniqueness. Full belongingness means that everyone is fully respected and valued. Everyone has all the opportunities that they need to succeed. Full uniqueness means that in a world led by men, we as women don't have to constantly be changing the way we look and the way we behave just to be pleasing to men. So that's the vision of inclusion. And in this work, I am so honored and happy to again be working alongside JVS SoCal and especially the Women's Leadership Network. You are at the forefront, helping women to transition out of crisis and into careers that will allow them to be more fully included in our economy and society. I remain inspired by your mission and amazed by your successes. Thank you for your leadership in our world.
Thank you so very much, Joy. Such an inspiring story for all of us and for all Asian Americans. I love how Joy is leading by example to encourage other Asian women to own their own culture and to harness their own power. There are so many important life lessons in Joy's journey for all of us about the value of mentorship and networking and inclusion. And if you would like to support the inclusive work of JVS SoCal and the WLN with your donation, please text LEADER to the number 41444. Your support will help make a difference in the lives of JVS SoCal clients like Breeze McCaskill. Prior to finding out about JVS SoCal, Breeze McCaskill worked as a cashier at Rite Aid for 4 years, a job that no longer challenged her or fit her long-term professional goals. She discovered the JVS CareerWorks medical program from a friend, and after completing the CareerWorks program, she was hired by RadNet, the largest medical imaging network in the United States, and she was quickly promoted and now works as a scheduler. The CareerWorks program was an inflection point that changed the trajectory of Breeze's life and gave her an opportunity to start a career she loves. In addition to training for a new career, a WLN Impact Grant has helped Breeze settle into a new home. Breeze is now thriving, and she is excited about her future. Here is Breeze's story.
She was both here and nowhere. Breeze McCaskill spent 4 years working days, weekends, and holidays at Rite Aid. She felt her career was in an endless cycle.
I was in, what are those things called? A little hamster wheel? But basically that. I feel like I was in that for 4 years.
She had started college, but a disagreement with her dad pushed her to work full-time.
So I moved out, moved to LA, and I was living with family. And for about 6 years, I was sleeping on the couch, didn't really have any goals, didn't really have anything, in mind for what I wanted to do.
But one day a customer told her about a job training program and handed her a flyer. She decided to walk away from Rite Aid and walk to JVS SoCal. It's a free career development training program in LA that's been helping people get jobs for 90 years. For 8 weeks, she was a student in this classroom, and she hit the books, preparing for entry-level jobs as part of the CareerWorks medical program.
Medical terminology, empathy, how we should be communicating with patients, how we should be communicating with doctors and different offices and whatnot.
She worked with an instructor like Jesslyn Chapman, who said the organization's goal is to equip people and empower them to explore different career paths.
We understand you are more than capable. We just want to help you figure out what lane is yours. And so, those that are in certain statuses, they kind of get told this is your it, this is your all. Don't think too further. You might just be at Rite Aid. Don't go no further than that. But we want them to know, no, there's ways that you can help people in plethora of avenues.
Her journey to a new career included this moment, a day of on-the-spot interviews.
This was at our graduation, and we had Cedars-Sinai, Children's Hospital, RadNet.
And RadNet is where she now works. Breeze was recently promoted to scheduler and is responsible for scheduling patients for exams. She makes more money, and thanks to the Women's Leadership Network, just furnished her new apartment.
I have been able to move out from family and get my own apartment and get my own furniture, and it's just been absolutely amazing.
And most amazing, she says, is the freedom she now feels.
I'm able to do what I want to do versus doing only what I can do.
All thanks to a new beginning.
Please welcome the WLN Executive Council Chair and VP and General Manager of Bloomingdale's Century City, Kathy Sudo.
I am thrilled to be with you again for this 9th annual Woman to Woman Conference and welcome everyone who might be joining us for the first time. And thanks to our wonderful host, Giselle Fernandez, and all of the inspirational women participating in today's program. The need for the services that JVS SoCal provides and the Women's Leadership Network supports is greater than ever. Over the past year, thousands of women have been driven out of the workforce as a direct result of the pandemic. An estimated 9.9 million jobs were lost in the U.S. within the past year, with women being disproportionately affected. The all-women LA County Board of Supervisors have led LA County through the pandemic with grace and urgency. There is still much more to do, but we thank you for your collective leadership. Hilda Solis, 1st District. Holly J. Mitchell, 2nd District. Sheila Kuehl, 3rd District. Janice Hahn, 4th District. And Catherine Barger, 5th District. As we move forward toward hopeful recovery, the Women's Leadership Network is proud to assist women experiencing career crisis and transition. Through the JVS SoCal programs we support, we are uniquely positioned to help women of diverse backgrounds through this challenging time and get them on the road to recovery. Since its founding in 2008, the WLN has raised over $3 million to provide free mentoring, career training, and job placement services to over 2,500 women who participate in the JVS SoCal programs across Los Angeles and Southern California. We are able to do this with the support of our members and our sponsors of our annual Woman to Woman Conference, and also through the WLN Empowerment Fund. Many of you here today have already given generously, and we thank you. Your support means everything to all of us, and especially to the clients that we serve. And for those who are attending the conference for the first time, or those who want to contribute even more, now is your chance to help. It's easy to make a gift and change a life. Just take out your cell phone and text the word LEADER to the number 41444. You'll then receive a text link to make a donation via the JVS SoCal website. You can make a gift during this virtual event or after the event concludes. If you've not done so already, please consider becoming a WLN member at the $1,000 level and work with us throughout the year. Or make a gift in honor of someone who mentored you, opened doors for you, supported your career, or simply made a difference in your life. Our goal is to raise $75,000 during the course of this program. With your generous support, we can do it, and we can help more women in need. Remember, please text the word LEADER to the number 41444. And now, I'd like to introduce our next featured speaker, Georgia Berkovich. Georgia is a community leader who currently serves as Director of Public Affairs for the Midnight Mission. Her work provides hope to people in the Skid Row community, many of whom struggle with barriers such as addiction. In recovery herself, Georgia brings a unique perspective to her position and serves as an example of overcoming personal challenges and giving back to the community. Here is more on Georgia Berkovich's journey.
High above Skid Row on the rooftop of the Midnight Mission, Georgia Berkovich sees an abundance of beauty and hope in a city where others may see only human suffering and pain.
The more I was here, the more I saw how much hope there was and how much beauty.
For nearly a decade caring for those who are homeless, Berkovich, the mission's spirited public affairs director, sees grace and hope for recovery in each and every soul who walks in the door, no matter their circumstance.
So some of my favorite people live here in Skid Row, and they just happen to be homeless.
Who in record numbers are turning to the mission, LA's longest-running nonprofit, helping those on the street looking for food, shelter, and social services.
We haven't served 1 million people a year since the Great Depression.
A hike in numbers that only fuels her mission as a relentless and heroic champion of the human spirit, amidst the many programs here to help homeless people overcome addiction, learn work and life skills, and find employment. By far, it's Georgia's Music with a Mission program and her arts initiatives she is most proud of.
It's a way of expressing themselves and tapping into feelings that have been blocked for so long. And it's a safe place to do that, and it's obviously my favorite thing.
Especially, says Georgia, when people come in off the streets like this young man. No matter how depleted their lives, they surprise with talent and potential. For Georgia, there is no us and them. She sees herself in each and every soul who walks in the door.
I think that we think that somehow this would never happen to me. This would never happen to me.
That's because it did happen to her. To cope with the loss of her father to cancer and an emotionally absent mother, Georgia was drinking at age 11, a crack addict in her 20s, 3 times attempted suicide, and was nearly homeless herself.
I got addicted to crack pretty quickly and was evicted from where I lived. I got fired from my job, lost my car, and I had no place to live.
It was reaching rock bottom, she says, in a series of chance encounters that would lead Georgia to the Midnight Mission, where in service to others, she said, she found herself, and through the kindness of strangers, sobriety.
I was somebody who felt like I wasn't worth anything. I didn't think I had any purpose. I found that I did, and that all of these horrible experiences were now the gold that I could use to help other people.
And she does every day. The inspiring life and service of the Midnight Mission's Georgia Berkovich, who sees herself in all she serves.
Such an inspiring and hopeful story. We are so fortunate to have her with us today. Please welcome Georgia Berkovich.
Thank you, Kathy, and thank you to JVS SoCal and the Women's Leadership Network for this opportunity. I'm so grateful to be with you today. I got sober in 1993 in a 12-step recovery program after hitting bottom with alcoholism. I found sobriety through the kindness of strangers. When I was 6, my father died of cancer, and I was raised in poverty by a single mom. Our life was about survival. I never had much hope for my future, nor did I have any dreams other than to get through each day. I was lost and lonely and started drinking and using at a very young age. At 10, I was stealing my mom's car and smoking cigarettes. At 11, I was arrested for drinking in public. At 13, I ended up pregnant. I tried to commit suicide on 3 occasions, and it only got worse from there. I finally got sober when I was 24, and I found a new way to live. I built a life for myself and found joy in service to others. In 2009, I was out of work and struck with a debilitating depression. In the 10 years prior to this, I had been married and divorced, was on disability and bedridden for almost a year after back surgery. I fell in love with a man who had Lou Gehrig's disease, and I took care of him until he died. I lost my grandmother. I married again to someone I shouldn't have been on a second date with and would later divorce. And I also lost my mother to cancer. It was a rough decade. This depression, however, was different than before. On the outside, I had everything I thought would equal happiness: sobriety, marriage, friends, a beautiful custom home, a luxury car, money in the bank, and the freedom to do whatever I wanted. But I felt no passion, and I was not happy. It was then that I thought, well, maybe I could help someone else. That was it. That was the inflection point. It was the idea of setting aside my own happiness and focusing on helping others instead. I had previously volunteered at the Midnight Mission when I got sober in 1993, and it was a place that I felt drawn to over the years. So I called the volunteer coordinator and I asked if I could start volunteering on a more regular basis until I found a job. I wanted to feel useful. The more time I spent there, the more I saw how much hope there is and how many services are available to our community. While I was volunteering at the Midnight Mission, I got active again in my recovery. Since I had no idea what I really wanted to do for work, I just started saying yes to every small job that came along, even if I really did not want to do it. And after a while, I was asked to interview for a position at the Midnight Mission. During the interview, they asked if I had experience with this or that, and they were all things I had gained experience in doing when I was saying yes to all of the things I did not want to do. By saying yes to the universe, I was led to my calling. I simply had to get out of the way. Being afraid of doing the wrong thing or waiting to feel inspired has often led me to do nothing. I now have learned that it's just as important for me to do something, commit to it, and give of myself. It's been almost 11 years since I came to work at the Midnight Mission, and it was there, in service to others, that I finally found my own happiness. I've been a witness to extraordinary acts of kindness by our community, staff, and volunteers. Working there really keeps things in perspective. I work with some of the finest people on the planet who genuinely care about our community and give selflessly of themselves. It is a loud and clear reminder each day of my many blessings and what is really important. I now have a life filled with love. Before this, I had never thought of myself as a leader. I liked being a worker among workers. But when my boss left, I had the opportunity to move up. So I just said yes to the universe, as I had learned to do. I believe I am a successful leader today because I am passionate about what the Midnight Mission does and how we do it. And all of my seemingly bad experiences in life have become my greatest assets. All of the things I've gone through make me a good and empathetic leader. Some of our days are very heavy and heartbreaking, but it is all worth it when you can help someone find their way home. Although more than 20,000 homeless people are getting housed each year, The number of people experiencing homelessness continues to increase. Thankfully, the Midnight Mission has been able to expand our services over the years to meet the ever-growing needs of our community. One of my passions are the various music and art programs we have been able to introduce at the Midnight Mission. Even if you don't love art or music, it's not just about that. It's an opening to hope and joy and the connection with other human beings, to have a shared experience. The homeless population are you and they are me. They were once filled with hope and wonder, just as you and I. And they've had horrific things happen. But I have found that music and the arts can bring joy to anyone, and that joy opens the door to hope, the chance that something will be different. Tapping into my own joy, I tapped into my own power, which was always there. It was just waiting for me to access it. So in being of service to others, I am empowered. There is no us and them. There's only us. I can see today how my experience can help others. I don't think there is any more extraordinary gift than being able to help someone else. Thanks to my sobriety and the Midnight Mission, my life has meaning and I have found purpose.
Thank you very much, Georgia. As unemployment rates soared during the pandemic, women were disproportionately impacted because the industries most disrupted were those that predominantly employ women. It is more important than ever that we help these women regain and begin to thrive. Today's WLN conference raises funds to support the essential programs of JVS SoCal. If you would like to donate, please text the word LEADER to the number 41444. Your generous donation will help transform the lives of so many JVS SoCal clients. Clients like Thuy Nguyen, who was helped at a critical time in her life.
With my deepest gratitude, I want to say thank you. I hope my story will bring you a moment of joy to hear how meaningful the JVS Women Touring Program has been to me. My name is Thuy Nguyen, and I am a recent Vietnamese immigrant currently living in Los Angeles, California. I found JVS SoCal in summer 22 during one of the most challenging times of my life. When COVID-19 started, I got laid off from my restaurant job and my husband's hours were cut down to half. This event left a toll on our financial situation and specifically my confidence that I had just started building since immigrating from Vietnam in 2019. I applied to the Women Touring Program in May and was admitted soon after that. As a recent immigrant woman, I was told to stick with restaurant or nail salons jobs and forget about my bachelor's degree from Vietnam. Even when I enrolled in the master's degree in guidance and counseling at Loyola Marymount University, I still could not believe that I would overcome my self-doubts and become self-sufficient anytime soon. However, my mentor helped me see the strengths that I possessed, all my transferable skill sets, and especially what to look for in the future. I sometimes think that it is not just the service itself that helped, but the service that comes to people at the most critical time like that is what profoundly changed my lives. That is exactly how I felt at the time. Following the guidance of the Women Touring Program and my amazing mentor, I completed my 6-month SMART goals and was hired as a graduate assistant with my university's admission office. I also applied for a grant with the Women Leadership Network to complete a career assessment certification in June. Thanks to this, a community college recently offered me a paid internship in the Career Center starting next spring. All the good news come after each other, and I could not be thankful enough for the springboard that the Women Touring Program has provided me with at the start. Thank you for believing in me when I could not even believe in myself. I wish to carry on this virtue and become a career counselor that can ignite this light for many more immigrants, refugees, or any member of the marginalized community that I will work with in the future. Thank you.
We so appreciate all of the donations that are coming in. Your support means everything. Remember, all you have to do is text the word LEADER to the number 41444. This assistance is practical and focused and acts as a catalyst to create defined inflection points that change lives forever. It's money well spent. All funds raised from this conference go toward JVS SoCal's programs, such as HealthWorks, which trains individuals to become certified nursing assistants, CareerWorks Medical, which prepares participants for non-clinical positions within the healthcare industry, BankWorks, which prepares job seekers for positions in banking, and ApartmentWorks, a nationally recognized job training course for apartment maintenance technicians. Along with JVS Works, we also support Will Mentoring, our 6-month career development program for women seeking guidance and reaching their professional goals, our Veteran Services program that is specifically tailored to women's veterans' unique challenges, and WLN Impact Grants, small but impactful grants that enable women to pursue their professional goals. Please text LEADER to 41444. Your generous donation only takes a minute, but the effects will last a lifetime. Thank you for making a difference. And now we have a special video created just for today's conference. Rachel Warby is a conductor and educator renowned for reimagining the traditional concert format, as well as dissolving the barriers that exist between performers and their audiences. Her work is centered on the belief that live music is an accessible, universal tool of discovery. And just as Georgia Berkovich does at the Midnight Mission, Rachel harnesses the power of the arts to effect change. Here is Rachel Warby's video.
Hello, I'm Rachel Warby. In 1776, our founding fathers wrote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." In 1848, Elizabeth Cady Stanton declared, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal." 175 years later, though women and girls comprise over 51% of the population of our country, it is still the case that one of the most important pieces of unfinished business in human history is the empowering of women to be able to stand up for themselves. As a young woman trying to stand up for myself in a field which was 100% dominated by men and had been so throughout history, my strength, my intelligence, and my discipline only got me so far. Ultimately, it was the fact that I had the nerve to never take no for an answer that got me where I am today. This short film, with music by Musique's beloved musicians, Michael Valerio and Michelle Forrest, is a testimonial to just some of the women who throughout history have never taken no for an answer and have had the nerve.
Yes, we can. Sí se puede. Sí se puede.
I accept your nomination.
So help me God.
So help me God.
And now I would like to introduce our third featured speaker, the amazing Asia Brown. Asia is an economic development expert and community activist, having most recently served 2 terms as mayor of Compton, the youngest person ever to hold the position. Her new vision for Compton led to unprecedented socioeconomic growth in her city, as well as a historic decrease in violence. Asia's leadership and her work with mothers brings a fresh perspective that inspires women both here in Los Angeles and across this nation. Here is Asia's story. She is 37-year-old Asia Brown, a millennial mayor on a mission, the youngest in the history of Compton and only the second woman to hold the office in 4 decades.
And I knew that everything that I went through in my life really prepared me to really serve in a dynamic way, so I felt ready.
Ready to rebrand the embattled city's gangster rap drive-by shooting reputation of the 80s into a thriving city of future, ingenuity, and promise.
When I looked at Compton, I knew that our community had a lot of love, history, resilience, and that we just needed that missing ingredient to really activate all the potential that we have here.
And Brown says that missing ingredient was hope in a city many had given up on.
It was really about what is our community's vision and how is this bigger than all of us.
That vision seems to be paying off.
We have to come up and say we're not going to allow this to continue to happen in our community.
Stop the violence, increase the peace.
Under her watch, crime is down, employment is up, and big companies are moving in, creating more than 1,000 new jobs. Not bad for a first-time office holder, not afraid to disrupt outdated systems, challenge old guard council members resistant to change, and put a stop to political corruption that's plagued Compton for years.
That's why I love the mayor so much. She took her time out to come see about us when we were thrown away. She came and said, get everybody together and let's do something special.
She is a revolutionary unlike Compton has ever seen. And that applies as well to shifting office culture to accommodate her baby girl. She calls her boss.
She's given me so much deeper perspective and definitely the motivation to continue to make the world a better place, not only for everyone else's kids, but for mine as well.
And it says a lot about you that we're in your offices here at City Hall and you have cribs and pumps and
yes.
all the accoutrement to accommodate your motherhood and not keep it at home. Important to you.
Absolutely. It's critical for me. She's my boss, and so I have to have all the gear to make her stay comfortable, but we work together. So she's learning now how important it is.
She's 6 months old, has ways to go, but you have said also, and we're just going to keep this real, this interview.
Thank you.
You feel like you're redefining what heart-based leadership can do?
I do. I believe that we were sent for this assignment to really redefine what leadership can be. I think that people were waiting to see if the experiment would work, and because of the success that we've been able to have, I think it reinforces the role of women and really female-based leadership in politics.
And now, please welcome Asia Brown.
Thank you, Giselle. There are several key moments in my life that as I look back were pivotal inflection points, moments of decision that shaped my life and manifested my purpose in very decisive ways. As a college freshman, I entered USC pre-engineering, ultimately following the path my mother laid for me. Yet I remember sitting in my dorm room feeling that there was something more that was meant for my life. There was an empty space in my heart that I knew I needed God's guidance to fill. I prayed and asked God to direct my path. He answered me immediately as I opened a 1,000-page course catalog and opened to the School of Policy, Urban Planning, and Development. I would go on to be an urban planner and graduate in 5 years with my bachelor's and master's in urban planning and economic development. What I would learn the next 5 years shaped me in an incredible way and armed me with the knowledge and ammunition to be a force for those considered to live in the margins of society. A second pivotal point in my life was my decision to move back to the city of Compton. This decision also began with a prayer, and God answered again in an incredible and tangible way. At the very same time, I was asked to apply for a project management position to lead capital projects in the Compton Redevelopment Agency. My husband and I purchased a brand new home in the heart of Compton, and a month later I tested and earned the top score for the position I sought and left my position in the City of Inglewood's Economic Development Department, took a pay cut, and followed my passion to serve the city that God directed my path to. At the same time, my husband and I began leading a youth ministry at a well-established church in Compton and headed up outreach. We were immersed into our community, loving on the people and working to lift our city. Yet I knew inside my heart that the city couldn't change its trajectory without new leadership, a tangible people-led and policy-backed strategy, and a double portion of love and light. For decades, Compton was known for negativity, and I knew we needed a force to shift the narrative and jumpstart new investment and lead the way for healing and restoration. Again, after much prayer, I stepped out on faith yet again and answered the call in my heart to do what seemed impossible and run for mayor of City of Compton. 6 years, many battles, victories, and adventures later, I became a mother, and this changed me materially forever. Becoming a mother honed my senses, sharpened my perspective, and deepened my conviction for the work I've committed my life to do in an incredible way. The tangible improvements that I've worked toward the last 6 years were illuminated as critical infrastructure, as we weren't just building community and improving public spaces and programming, we were shaping families' futures and expanding opportunities to shift generations. My appetite for dealing with politics dropped to zero, and my desire to make an impact became even more important. I again sought God for guidance on how I would spend the next season of my life. A third pivotal point in all of our lives was the COVID-19 pandemic. While it's changed our life in a myriad of ways, it's confirmed my decision to conclude my second term and begin serving in a different way. It also caused me to create a vehicle, the Compton Community Development Corporation, that could attract and facilitate wealth and resources to Compton residents when they needed it most, a guaranteed income program called the Compton Pledge. I believe leadership begins with service and sacrifice. What compels me to lead is the commitment to give myself for a good that's greater than myself. I realize that a leader cannot lead alone. Leadership requires people to buy in and be a part of the vision if they desire exponential growth. I also believe that people are generally incredible. We're also different and diverse and have different superpowers that when calibrated through common ground, the potential to do great things is unleashed. I believe my role as a leader is to cast a vision, cultivate common ground through relationship, and serving others that enrich and expand potential, ultimately to yield a greater impact. I believe the job of any leader is to listen intently and serve as a force multiplier. One can multiply the force of your team through vision, common ground, integrity, unwavering commitment to the mission, being intentional, and serving with genuine love. Considering the multitude of challenges I faced in Compton, my experience, I believe, is a microcosm of what is happening in communities across America. When I became mayor in 2013, people were jaded about Compton politics. We had a litany of corrupt and self-serving officials that yielded few results for the community. Politicians were most concerned about staying in power rather than empowering the community to grow and thrive. With growth comes accountability and responsibility and a demand on leadership to continue to grow and thrive. This phenomena is the same theme we are seeing across all levels of politics in America today. On top of that, violence had become part of the fabric of life in Compton, and people had generally lost hope and value in their city, which was reflected in the blight and neglect seen in the physical conditions of our community. Compton was once a community that beamed with pride, hope, love, a rich history, and resilience. I knew we could restore the fabric of our city through a common vision that was bigger than all of us, but yet that took all of us. Our 12-point vision for Compton strategy was our roadmap to generating consensus and commanding our own future. Currently, I just had my second daughter in September, and I'm focused now more than ever on the world my daughters live in and using my life to make it better for them and future generations. I believe with all of the challenges that face our society, we still have greater opportunities to destroy paradigms and create generation-shifting change like never before. When we focus on addressing problems and not fighting people, we'll realize the greatest change. When systems fail, the root cause is not that people are broken, they just weren't given the tools, resources, and support to thrive. I'm committed now more than ever to investing in system changes to yield greater outcomes for future generations, including my own. Thank you, JVS SoCal.
And now please welcome Eileen Koski-Fracchia.
Thank you, Asia. That was incredible. I am Eileen Koski-Fracchia, and I am one of the 3 co-founders of the Women's Leadership Network. Every year, the WLN recognizes women leaders with the Rosalind L. Zuckerman WLN Empowerment Award. named after philanthropist, mentor, and champion of women's rights, attorney Roz Zuckerman. In addition to Roz, other recipients have included the current president of the WLN Executive Council, Kathy Sudo, actor and previous host of many of our woman-to-woman conferences, Nikki Crawford, and Sophie Alpert, founder of the nonprofit Piece by Piece, whose artists create the beautiful Empowerment Award we present each year. This year, we present the award to a truly remarkable woman and my dear friend, Diane Shader-Smith. Diane is a writer, speaker, and publicist. She was on the writing staff of the soap opera General Hospital, has bylined articles, and authored several books, including the widely publicized Undressing Infidelity. She's represented household brands, products, and celebrities, and is a respected lecturer on myriad topics. A fearless advocate, Diane has also raised more than $5.5 million for basic science and cystic fibrosis research. Diane works with entrepreneurs, thought leaders, social change agents, and many others who are looking to claim and/or reclaim their voice to share their stories. She speaks with honesty and verve, courage and conviction, and requires the same from everyone in her life. It's as if her extraordinary gift to empower through the art of storytelling is in her DNA. Her words offer grace to the grieving, have the strength to rescue the wounded soul, and inspire so many to work towards a purpose-driven life. Please take time to read more about her accomplishments and view her TED Talk online. I'd like to take a moment to share a few personal insights. Diane, Mark, and their two children, Micah and Mallory, have lived across the street for over 20 years, and so our relationship feels more like family than just friends. Although there are many who consider Diane a family member, each with their own account of the influence she has had in their lives. To Mallory and Mal's friends, Diane is wing mom. You see, when Mallory was young and was out with her friends, Diane would be close by, on patrol, calling out CBA, code for cute boy alert. Even now, Diane is committed to making as many love connections as possible and is credited with at least 6 marriages. Always the fearless and loyal friend, Diane generously opens her heart, her home, and her network to all who know her, and all who know someone that knows her, and actually all people to whom she may be of service. She is devoted to the betterment of our physical health, our emotional well-being. She encourages us, well, actually challenges us, to identify our passion and to fight for what we believe in. She leads by example and follows with a guiding and supportive hand, endorsing many of the causes important to us, with JVSWLN being a prime illustration. Diane, you continue to inspire all of us. You are all empowering, ever inspirational, and forever the extraordinary leader, woman, and friend. I am so honored to present the 2021 Rosalind L. Zuckerman WLN Empowerment Award to the brilliant and wonderful Diane Shader-Smith.
Thank you. Thank you to the WLN for this incredible honor. To Debbie, Eileen, and Judy for starting this incredible initiative, Women Helping Women. So very important to those in need, but also so impactful for those who do the giving. My commitment to this group comes from my relationships with the women who give their time and money to support job training, mentoring, career coaching, hard and soft skills. Thank you to Lindsay Thomas for managing this important group, and to the brave women who have shared the personal inflection points in their lives, and to Roz Zuckerman for endowing this prestigious award. This recognition and the notion of an inflection point provides an opportunity for me to stop and reflect, something I don't often do as I struggle to keep going in the face of catastrophic loss. 4 years ago today, we honored the memory of my daughter Mallory at a celebration of her life. It seems inaccurate to call her death an inflection point in my life because it was the end of my life as I knew it. And yet it would turn out to be exactly that, an inflection point. What I didn't know at the time. What I couldn't know was that it was also the beginning of something new and unexpected, something transformative. When Mallory died of cystic fibrosis at the age of 25, she left behind thousands of beautifully written pages, private thoughts, fears, insights that even I didn't know she had. She wrote because she had an intuitive understanding that her experience would be helpful to others with physical or mental illness, to families who might gain insight into their teenager or young adult, to healthcare providers who need to see their patients not just as bodies with disease, but as people with unique lives. It was also an incredible gift to me. Reading Mallory's words has kept her alive, and bringing her work to publication has also led me to a field of study called narrative medicine that is now my North Star. Allowing people to share their life experience wholly and uninterrupted breaks down barriers. It's vital to understanding the struggles people endure, whether they are patients who feel lost in the system, job seekers facing endless rejection, mothers desperate to feed their children. Important for everyone, but especially critical to those from marginalized communities who often feel voiceless. Since bringing Mallory's words to publication, I've learned there's a paradigm shift that comes from reading a memoir. It opens a different part of the brain and touches a deeper place in the heart, and ultimately is essential to solving our healthcare problems, so many of which come from miscommunication and misunderstanding. Learning about narrative medicine led me to narrative knowledge, a tool used by WLN and JVS to reach people. Reading, hearing, and telling well-constructed personal narratives enables us to have a more comprehensive understanding of the human experience. There's so much work that still needs to be done, so many women that need our help. That process starts with telling the stories of the specific issues affecting the populations this worthy organization serves. I am on a parallel path telling Mallory's story and sharing words from her posthumously published memoir, Salt in My Soul, An Unfinished Life. Through her writing, Mallory shows us the power of the patient perspective in connecting patients and providers, in infusing medical practice with humanism, and in transforming exam rooms, consultations, and daily rounds from impersonal procedures to individualized, valuable conversations, making the case for why narrative medicine should be used regularly to improve medical outcomes. It has also given me a platform to raise awareness about phage therapy, a promising new treatment to combat superbugs, one of the most pressing global health issues of our time. While living a fully vibrant life, Mallory endured lengthy daily treatments, 67 hospitalizations, a double lung transplant, and then death. The ultimate inflection point, the catalyst that empowered me to transition from caring for her physical being to establish and tending to her enduring legacy. In her journal, Mallory wrote, "I used to think you had to do something really big to have it be meaningful. Now, I think you can make a difference in big and small ways, and sometimes ways that seem small are actually really big." My hope is that everyone will leave today thinking of the ways they can make a difference in the lives of the women WLN serves. Increase your donation, become a mentor, leave a legacy gift, transform a life. Thank you.
Congratulations to Diane Shader-Smith on that well-deserved honor. Congratulations. And now we have a very wonderful opportunity to delve a little deeper with our powerhouse women. While very distinct, their stories share common triumphs over adversity, and they are gracious enough to share more of their journeys and life lessons learned with all of us now. Georgia Berkovich, Joy Chen, and Asia Brown, women who are truly making a difference. I feel truly honored to be in your presence. I'm so happy to have this time with you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, you're all powerful women in your own fields. You all have overcome, whatever adversity you've had to become the leaders that you are, but also to lead others to be their best selves. If you had to pinpoint what you think is responsible for your unique transformational leadership, what would you say it is? Georgia.
Experience, personal experience. I think that helps me be a better leader and to be more empathetic.
Your empathy.
Yeah.
To see yourself in the other.
Yes.
Oh, it's essential in the work that you do, right? With
Yes,
those who do not
definitely.
have homes. Yeah. Joy?
I think growing up an outsider was very much of a transformative experience because later on it helped me to understand, how to be an insider. Well, first of all, it gave me the impetus to learn how to become an insider. And then once I got there, to, I think, feel very viscerally how to create an inclusive environment.
Asia?
I definitely think my upbringing, my just different trials and tribulations that I've gone through gave me so much perspective and empathy and compassion for people. And I think vision is also paramount to being able to affect change with a team and finding consensus and really creating an environment where everyone can thrive and thinking about how I can really serve my team. And so I come from a place of service and just trying to bring the best out in people. My experience is that everyone is so remarkable in their own different way, and they just need sometimes a little push to bring it out in them. And once people are find their groove, then they can just really thrive, and the whole team thrives.
It's interesting because in all of your responses, it really takes an inner sense of confidence, a sense of really who you are to be able to be confident to make those choices, to be empathetic toward others, no?
Absolutely. I was raised by a confident single mom, and so she imparted confidence in me at a really young age. I just always remember just thinking that I had superpowers and that, and never competing with other people. I have a twin brother, and I learned from him that you can literally be the same age as someone, you can be in the same environment, but you all can thrive in your own unique ways. And so that really helped me to not see people as competition, but as really allies and assets.
Brothers and sisters.
Yes.
Same? Where did you find the confidence? Because you went through your own challenges. You've been so open about your addictions and your mental, challenges early on.
Gosh, my confidence came by doing things I didn't think I could do.
And just being bold and daring enough to actually give it a try.
Absolutely, trusting that if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, saying yes, showing up. I am a servant leader. I am a worker bee. I am a member of a team, and I just happen to be the person who makes the final call and has to be responsible if things don't end up well. But I am a part of a team, and I rely on the people. I think it's relying on those people that I trust on my team and with whom I work, that it isn't just about me and my vision, it's helping everybody's vision be realized, that we create it together.
It's a component of women's leadership, wouldn't you agree? Where we look at things collaboratively and we unify as opposed to create a hierarchy?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I do think so.
So we live in very divisive and complicated times, probably the most uncomfortable period of change I've experienced in this country, not just in the fight for racial justice and the protests of George Floyd, the pandemic on top of it all. How have these forces impacted the work that you do and made it more complicated on the one hand, but also have amplified the inequities that you see every single day, and those are silver linings there too. But how would you say these forces most impacted you?
So for me, I think that I've seen how our homeless community was impacted in a completely different way than I was. With the pandemic and everything shutting down, there were all these other avenues that opened with Zoom, and we felt more connected than ever. And I'm attending my recovery programs all over the world, and I feel more connected than ever. And then I watched our homeless community, who rely on organizations like ours to be their connection. We're where they charge their phones, they get their news, they have their meals, they have access to art or music, and all of that had to shut down in COVID. And now those folks on the street, while I'm feeling more connected, I see how more disconnected they are. And so we've really had to make more of an effort to keep people informed and get them the information they need to stay safe.
Yeah, it made everything more challenging for sure. Joy?
Well, I think that the murders of the 6 Asian American women in Atlanta were a huge wake-up call for many of us Asian Americans. But it also was a time when suddenly it felt like we were being seen for a moment. You know, that we were surrounded by friends and allies who said, oh my God, I had no idea. I always thought Asians were doing just fine. And I think that in a certain way, I think it's been a real time of growth for us as a community, as well as for us individually, to say, hey, you know, I do matter. My experiences do matter. And because I think that the confidence that we're talking about here, it has to come from within.
Yes.
You know, because when you're just measuring yourself against other people, you're just focusing on the gap as opposed to the gain of what you have. So I think that at the end of the day, you know, it's been a very divisive time, but I'm actually very hopeful because I think that we are growing, and I think that with all these forces out there, America is growing.
It's forced us to look in the mirror and ask, who are we? And is this behavior okay? And do we all belong? Asia?
I would agree with Joy, especially. I just believe that with all of the adversity and all the tribulation that we've experienced as a nation over the last year and a half, that there's still such a great opportunity and an awakening that's happening. And for the work that I've committed my life to, it really gave a loudspeaker to inequities and injustices and systemic racism and things that have really plagued people of color in our nation for really generations. And for the first time, we're having these conversations in places that it was excluded, and really where people were comfortable enough to not even believe that it still existed. And so for me, while it was very painful and it really brought forward a lot of just feelings and experiences that people, especially Black people, have experienced in this country, it's still such a great opportunity to really get beneath the surface and to really do the work that will change systems and that will change outcomes for future generations. And so I hope that we keep this same intensity as a nation to really have these hard conversations and to make policy changes and really focus on equity so that everyone can live and thrive, because everyone deserves to have full access to the American dream.
Let's look at the collateral damage of COVID, especially on women in the workforce. And I will stay with you, Asia, because I visited you and did an interview in your offices when you just had your first baby. You've just had your second. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
But I was so blown away because you had your baby in the mayor's office when you held that office. You were the youngest mayor at the time, only second woman, and there you were with your baby, the crib, the pump, the whole 9 yards. You weren't doing the traditional thing of separating motherhood from your job. How groundbreaking was that, and what should we learn from that?
I think that women have been defying the odds since the beginning of time, but I think that I felt empowered to bring my baby to work with me because I don't see a separation. What I did as mayor and how I serve my community even now, there's no delineation between who I am, and it's not just a role for me, it's not just a position. And so I felt it was natural to bring my daughter there. Even now, when we pass by, she's like, oh, that's mommy's job, that's where I was. She remembers at 3 years old that that's where she was as a baby. And I just think about all the women that have to go to work and thrive, and they have so many different odds that they have to overcome, and they're mothers too. And I just thought that that would send a powerful statement to the employees that we work with, that we see you and that we should make accommodations for you, and that the world is a much better place when women are in it, and that they're able to make decisions and they're able to contribute even when they have babies. Because for me, the work that I do is really for the next generation. It's for my daughters and it's for families. And so that just really honed my vision and really gave me a greater sense of urgency to the work that I was doing to have her there.
And it was powerful. Our viewers went nuts with that. They said, yes, now someone's doing it. She can be a mayor and a mom at the same time. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I get stopped so many times just from people, they know my daughter now because of that, the interview with you, Giselle. But women are powerful, and we deserve to have our children with us when we do what we do.
And we can do that. Women are multitaskers. We're amazing.
Yes.
Georgia, there's rising prejudice amongst the homeless. There always have been. Oh, those people, they're not like I am. And yet all the statistics show we're all a paycheck away, or many of us a paycheck away from being on the streets. How important is it? This is what I so love about your leadership and how you frame this crisis in this city and across America, is that you see yourself in the other. How important is it to have that kind of compassion in dealing with people who are struggling?
It's essential. There is no us and them. There is only us. And I think anytime we separate somebody, them, they, we lose that heart connection. And one of the things that we really try to do is tell the individual stories of people who are experiencing homelessness. And there's this idea that that would never happen to me. And maybe it wouldn't happen to you tomorrow, maybe not in 6 months, but if you were to lose your job, lose your home, and this can happen for various reasons, as we know, things that were unacceptable tomorrow, I will never do that, may be the way you have to survive. And I think having that empathy and really humanizing the people who are homeless are you or me. They are human beings, and I think sometimes we put them in this category that they're a subset, and that is not true at all. And they are as important, and they possess gifts that we all need.
That's what blew me away when I did the interview with you at the Midnight Mission. You introduced me to so many people who are homeless but could sing and were musicians and had really incredible gifts that we overlook. They're whole human beings.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful. So, kind of breaking down those stereotypes. How do you do it? And you've all done it. So, Asia, Compton, this violent, throwaway city with a bunch of gang members, and you transformed that into this shining city of opportunity on the hill. How did you do that? And what were the headwinds that you faced to create that rebranding of a city?
Really through some of the same dialogue that Georgia stated. It's not us and them, and really addressing the issues that people have overcome or that they've been faced with in their lives, that it could have been any one of us. We may not have had to make the same choices that maybe someone that was a gang member made, but if that was the only choice that they had, then they did what they thought that they had to do. And 10% of a population does not define the whole 90%. There are other stories in history, and people really had an assumption about Compton that was really encapsulated from the 1990s and gangster rap and music. However,
straight out of Compton.
It's straight out of Compton. And that's the good, and you have to take the good with the bad. There's a rich history that spanned more than 1 or 2 decades of hardship, and so really just being an advocate and a voice for the richness that is Compton, and also projecting a new future that's bright, full of hope.
Well, you brought that new future to Compton. You brought in gang members and people from the city. Say, sit down, talk to me about what you want. And I remember you saying to me, they had never been asked what they want for their city. They'd been dismissed. And it's important to engage those who live in our communities to be a part of their own future, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think everyone deserves a seat at the table, and it wasn't about me implementing what I thought the vision should be. It was really tapping into every segment of our community and getting their feedback and crafting something that included everyone. And that way everyone can buy in and everyone can be committed to this greater future that they have a part of. And I think that people feel excluded when they are not invited to at least share their heart or to share their desires. And so we gained a lot, and the city benefited by having gang members at the table and also being a part of the positive change.
So Joy, Asian women have also been archetyped, stereotyped. You're the tiger moms, you're perfect, you just have great, smart kids, you've gone to Ivy League schools. And that too can be very assaulting and damaging. Have you experienced that personally, and how do you kind of break down that stereotype to be seen as a holistic person?
Yeah. Well, actually, I think there's really interesting threads in what Georgia and Asia were both saying, that it comes down to recognizing the full humanity of each person. I'm reminded of Gloria Steinem's quote of what is feminism. Feminism means that we recognize the equality and full humanity of every person. It's not about women or men or anything. It's about just recognizing our full humanity. And the thing about stereotypes is unconscious bias, we all stereotype. We all have unconscious bias. Our brains do that. We look at someone, we lump them in a category, and then we just immediately assign all these characteristics of that group to that person. And I think the only way to get beyond that
is exactly what Georgia and Asia are saying, is to provide disconfirming evidence of that stereotype. You think, you know, homeless people are lazy or whatever, dumb, whatever. Well, look at this. Look how amazing this person is. You know, Asia's saying, you think Compton is this gangster rap, this and that, but look at the richness of this. And so I think that for all of us, the way that we can get beyond stereotypes is to be looking out for that disconfirming evidence, looking for the humanity of each person we meet. And for those of us who are subject to stereotypes, to reveal our full selves and find sneaky or elegant ways to show people our full humanity.
I love that. And Georgia, you say, I love this, you say homelessness is an adjective, it is not a noun, it describes a condition. It doesn't define the whole person. And your beautiful arts and music programs unite and heal and show our common shared humanity. I love them, and I know they've been put on pause because of the pandemic, but how important are the arts to actually kind of, you know, transcend all the bigotry and to see just the joy that we all share in common?
I think music and art are great equalizers, and when we're experiencing them, you know, we are the same. And I think with our art and music program, we call that part of our progressive engagement, because when you're essentially living your worst day over and over again, and you have these moments of sweetness and these moments of connection, it builds hope. And when somebody has hope, they're more apt to ask for help. And so there's a lot going on with that, besides just on the surface, the beautiful art and music that we all, you know, our souls are starving for that, just as our body is starving for food. And sometimes that's just as important to reach somebody.
Well, also the music and your humor programs and all the comedy, it brings joy. And when you have joy, you're not in pain for a second. And that can be transformative too.
And it can give you hope.
Yeah. And speaking of hope, that's our final message for you all to give us what you're most hopeful about. Asia, you have 2 daughters now?
Yes.
What are you hopeful about for them, and where do you derive that hope that they break stereotypes that need to be gone already?
I'm just so hopeful for this next generation. They are growing up in a time and an era that's so much different than even myself and those that came before me. So I'm hopeful that they'll be seen, they'll be heard, they'll be valued, that they'll have opportunities that other young ladies their age didn't have before. And I'm just generally more hopeful for this next generation. They're bold, they're courageous, they focus on facts, and they're also just really fearless. And I think that's all that we all need in order to affect change.
Oh my gosh, right? Yes. Joy?
Yeah, I just would echo what Asia just said. You know, diversity is, movement toward diversity is inexorable in this country. It's just look at the demographics. And look how—
The train has left the station.
Open these kids are. Look how open these kids are. They're incredible, and they're accepting of one another, and they're not divided by the same prejudices that older people are. So I think things are getting better. They will get better.
And Georgia, I love the kind of precepts. I think you all share this theme in common. Martin Luther King said, everyone can be great because everyone can serve. And I know you found yourself in service, which is such a beautiful thing. And it seems essential to your leadership. And what I love is one of your kind of timeless messages is it's never too late to be who you want to be. You can start over at any stage and age of life. Is that true?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I feel more hopeful now than I ever have, and especially with the younger folks coming up who are so wanting to help. You know, we were really concerned about our volunteers, who typically we have about 18,000 who come through every year. What will we do without them? Well, they told us, we want to get busy. They were volunteering from their kitchens at home. They were doing fundraisers for us. They were collecting items from our wish list. As horrible as homelessness is, people are more aware, and there are more people who want to help. And I feel so enthusiastic and hopeful, and I think we are seeing better days ahead for sure. There's
You
got
all
to
agree?
be.
You all agree?
Yes.
Thank you so much. I think we all needed that. Thank you so much. You are women forces of nature. You inspire with your faith-based, service-based leadership and desire to make this world a better place. And we should all own that within ourselves, that we have the power to do that. So Asia Brown, Joy Chen, George Berkovich, you're my heroes. Thank you so much for sharing your stories with us today.
Thank you, Giselle.
Okay, and now we have a video highlighting some of the shining moments from previous Woman to Woman conferences. Please watch.
Today is all about making connections, finding common ground, and learning from one another.
We share a common commitment, empowering women to better their lives.
Making a genuine and positive impact.
I'm very excited to be here today.
They're game changers, they're innovators.
Working with my mentor, Ellie Altstroller, has been so uplifting and empowering. She sees me and genuinely cares. It led me to build a community with the women of WLN in ways that are truly priceless.
I am very grateful for everyone who makes programs like these available. You cannot imagine the impact you're having in people's lives. By supporting the Women's Leadership Network, you have the power to help other women like me who turn to JVS for help.
Those were just a few of the shining moments from our annual Women's Leadership Network Conference. So please consider joining the WLN and make your voice heard. As we wrap up today, we invite you to stay in touch and get involved. You will be receiving an email with a recording of the conference and a brief survey. We'd love to hear your feedback so that we can continue to improve this program. In the coming months, look out for more information on our new program, Creating Career Connections, and a WLN speaker series that we're launching in 2022. We'd love to have you join us for both of these exciting opportunities. And our thanks to the wonderful Giselle Fernandez for hosting today's conference and for all of your time and energy behind the scenes to make this event so successful. A big thank you to all of our truly inspiring speakers and our honoree who joined us this morning to share their personal journeys. We appreciate your honesty, your insights, and your wisdom. Our heartfelt thanks again to our presenting sponsors, Terry and Jerry Cole, and Susan W. Robertson of blessed memory. Thank you also to every one of our generous donors for making this such an extraordinary morning. And of course, to all of you who are joining us for this virtual event and making it possible to impact the lives of so many women through the power of women helping women. Again, if you'd like to create change for good by supporting WLN and our life-changing programs, please text LEADER to 41444. We appreciate all of your contributions.
Thank you so much, Kathy, and thanks to JVS SoCal and the Women's Leadership Network for such a wonderful conference, such a powerful day of inspiration from amazing women, each changing the world for the better in their own unique way. And changing lives is what JVS SoCal and the Women's Leadership Network does every single day here in Los Angeles and throughout Southern California. I am so honored to have been your moderator today, to be a part of a movement of empowerment and positivity at a time when women's leadership is more vital than ever. My biggest takeaways: trust your instinct, ladies. That's your superpower. Lead with your heart and trust your insight and wisdom. It will not fail you. And if you want to be a part of the change you long to see, join the WLN and get involved as leaders in your communities. We need you. Share your experience and experiences and mentor other women. And donate and support JVS SoCal and WLN programs, empowering women with career training and job placement. When we women band together, we are a force of nature, and together we know we can change the world. Onward in our shared mission. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us for the 9th Annual JVS SoCal Women's Leadership Network Conference. To learn more about JVS SoCal or to make a donation, please visit jvs-socal.org.